Hello, and welcome to Talking Shift, a casual chat about watches, collecting, and anything else that might drive the conversation. I'm your host, Thomas Calara, and today we decided to run it back. I'm joined by Josh Coates, our vintage timepiece specialist, and I got Samuel Colchamiro to my right. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's a hot one today.
Yes,
It is a freaking hot one today.
Yes, it is.
Summer is upon us.
Exactly, for real. So what's new with you guys, man?
Finally graduated, so we're done with high school. No more.
You were in high school?
I was
This whole
in high
time?
school. Yeah, I was held back for 6 years, and I was spending too much time writing about watches, and so I
Okay.
couldn't actually graduate. No, I was not held back, but I'm done.
Right. Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah,
Well,
it's good to be done.
He's on to big things this fall. Big
very,
things.
very
We'll
big
see.
things.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, we'll have you for the next few months, and if you don't get tired of us,
Stay in touch.
exactly.
Yeah.
I won't
sign
get
on.
tired of you guys, don't worry.
Send us a postcard wherever you're going. But you are going to college.
Yes.
Awesome, man. Good for you, man. Good
Thank
for
you.
you. Josh, what's new with you, man?
Man, same old, same old.
Okay.
Just here.
Okay.
Checking in these new watches.
Okay.
Learning.
Yeah, for sure.
Enjoying life.
For
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
It's I feel like every day here at Analog Shift, it's a learning experience. I feel like there's watches in general, there's always something to learn, but I feel like here just with the pieces themselves and then like with the additional layer of maybe some provenance or some story, there's just always something to learn and to be amazed at when it's in your hands. So I agree with you. I'm constantly on the learning wagon as well.
And we're kind of pivoting what we're stocking a little bit now these days.
Yeah.
So a lot of interesting new things coming into the shop
Yeah.
that we haven't really had available before. So super exciting.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's an exciting time. So let's hop into what's on wrist. Who wants to go first?
Young man. Go ahead.
Okay.
A graduate.
Yes, the graduate.
So I'm very excited about this watch. This is one of my favorites. This just came in. It's not yet on the site. Hopefully it will be soon. This is the FP Journe Resonance in 40 millimeters. In my opinion, the Resonance is the epitome of FP Journe as a brand. It was one of his earliest models. He first released the Tourbillon, but very shortly thereafter, the first generation of the Resonance came out in 2000. He launched the brand in 1999. Originally, it was a 38 millimeter watch. The concept of Resonance is essentially that if you take two escapement wheels and you put them in close proximity, they will synchronize with one another. And the imbalances of one will be equalized by the other, and together you gain an extremely accurate movement. Journe was heavily influenced by classical watchmaking in the 17th century and 18th century, and that was, Breguet, Antide Janvier, other sort of classical masters. And he saw the concept of resonance in pendulum clocks, where you'd have these pendulums that would swing in resonance with one another. And he reflected that in the Resonance wristwatch. It's one of the most complicated concepts to try to actually understand. It took him many years to finally get a working resonance movement. And I think there's nothing in all of Journe's collections that epitomizes his philosophy for watchmaking, which is inspiration from the works of the 18th century and moving that forward into this sort of modern wristwatch format. There's nothing quite like it. This is a 40 millimeter one, so it's the second set broad category of production. And it's pretty unbelievable, both on the dial side and when you flip it over and see the two escapements in such close proximity. It's like looking at a hypercar engine, but it's on your wrist. It's very cool.
And that's an interesting reference because the crown is at 12 o'clock, as opposed to some of the other later references where they moved the crown because some people were complaining about having issues adjusting the times, which I think the crowns at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock kind of aesthetically look better, but there's a certain level of charm
I kind of like
with
this.
the crown at 12 o'clock.
I kind of like this. They updated the movement for that generation. That's the most recent generation. There's really like three broad categories. There was the really early 38 millimeter watches, then they updated to a 40 millimeter, and there were several series of production for each of these sizes. So these are just broad categories. And then they updated to an even larger format with a new movement, and they reconfigured everything. I personally like the 38 millimeter and the 40 millimeter more, but there's so much to geek out with when it comes to Journe resonance.
Yeah.
So many different generations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an incredible piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, adjacent to the Journe that you got there, I think you might be, I might be spending a bit more time than I would want to with you because because I have the Lange 1 again. So this is from our case. It's the Lange 1 in rose gold, silver dial.
Look, if we spend more time together and you wind up wearing the Lange, and as long as I'm not wearing a Doxa, we're all good.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But to be fair, and again to our point about constantly learning, I am constantly learning from you, Sam, about Lange.
The breadth of knowledge.
Exactly, exactly. So
Thank you.
Yes, you two adore Lange very much, and I am kind of new to the brand, and it didn't take long for me to appreciate the craftsmanship and the master watchmaking and the movement finishing and kind of the detail that goes into making these watches. And you had mentioned this earlier today about how Lange treats their customers, and it's more of like a family
100%.
family
Yeah.
affair sort of thing. And Sam, you had also mentioned the other day how when you do get a Lange and you register it with the boutique, that they send you a polishing cloth with the
serial number
right.
of the case and the movement. So every case gets a serial number and every movement gets a serial number. And so they emboss it on the polishing cloth with 2 serial numbers, which is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, it's just the level of detail and that kind of like, it's like going the extra mile for me at least. And I feel like that's just something that's charming and appealing to me.
And it's just so cool, like, because the movement is made mostly of like German silver, the movement patinas, which is insane. You know, like, I don't know if any other watch where it's like designed to do that.
There's like a zinc, I believe it is, in the zinc and copper. It's an alloy, and together they sort of develop almost a golden hue over time. It's very cool. And I think that goes back to one of the other aspects that's great about working at Analog Shift, which is that you are exposed to watches that wouldn't necessarily be in your wheelhouse normally. So like, it's very cool that you come here and now are, at least your interest is piqued about Lange, which is something you probably never would have thought about before.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
It's definitely one of those pieces that you just pick up and immediately you just know that you're holding something special and well made, and moving the crown and then pushing the date pusher.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just buttery smooth, and it's very similar to the mechanism on that Journe. It's just, I feel like that is a common trait with like the buttery smoothness of it all, right? But yeah, that's what I got on wrist. How about you, Josh?
So kind of like on the other end of the spectrum, I have a Omega Speedmaster on. This is a reference 105.002. This was only made for roughly 6 months in 1962. Looks pretty much identical to the 2998. Omega just updated kind of their numerical naming system of the references. Has the famed 321 manual line movement that we all love. This example has an arrow handset, which I actually prefer to the batons. Also matching bracelet, stamp 1962. So kind of like the perfect like summer, go anywhere, do anything watch. I've heard people compare wearing these daily to like driving like a Metzger engined 911. It's just like a super robust movement, can handle anything, but also super high performing.
Yeah.
In terms of like a vintage chronograph, this would be definitely one of my top choices.
Yeah, the patina on that dial is incredible.
It's like pumpkin-y.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Go anywhere and do anything, just maybe not maybe take a dip in.
No swimming.
Yeah, no swimming. Yeah.
Any land activity.
Yeah, for
Any
sure.
Josh activity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and on these, like the Ed Whites and the pre-Moon Speedmasters, I actually prefer like the more plain case, like without the twisted lugs. Wears a
too.
bit smaller, looks a bit more elegant to my eyes. But just love this watch.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say more elegant because when I see the straight lugs, I think I'm more utilitarian, right?
Yeah, I kind of have the same feel, but that's more appealing to me. Actually, I think it's more utilitarian, and in a way, it's actually more elegant as a result.
Yeah,
I think it's simpler, and just because it shrinks the case a bit, that's why, for me, it reads, just because it wears a bit smaller, it reads a bit more elegant than the twisted lugs.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I felt like that was a solid round of wrist check for today, and yet again, we rated the analog shift case, so not a bad way to choose a watch, right? Maybe one of these days we'll come in with one of our own watches. Right.
Happy to do that.
Right. It's occupational hazard, I guess. But yeah, today we are sort of surrounded by watch boxes. Can you guys take a hint at what we're going to be talking about today?
Straps.
Close.
Which watches are the best strap monsters?
Right, exactly. Maybe we'll save that topic for a different episode. But today we're going to be talking about box and papers and do they matter? I feel like it's a topic that's talked about a bunch on forums. You see a lot of people just asking, should I buy this watch even though it doesn't come with box and papers? Does it really matter? And I feel like it's a topic that hasn't been exclusively covered. Just as a whole.
Yep.
And I just wanted to kind of dive into that topic and kind of explore the idea of box and papers and do they matter, and kind of your opinions and takes on the idea of owning a watch with box and papers. Would it deter you guys from purchasing a watch? And I feel like the immediate answer, for me at least, it kind of depends.
Oh,
right? Yeah. So I feel like I think of it as two ways. If I'm going to buy something that's inexpensive, or I want to say like maybe like a Seiko diver, right? Or something that I've just been wanting to purchase for a very long time, and it's been on the short list, and it's on the inexpensive side, and it's something that I wouldn't be too precious about. I think box and papers, it doesn't matter to me. Whereas a special piece, maybe it's like a momentous occasion, a new job. Hopefully I don't get a new job anytime soon and I stay here.
Anything to tell us?
Yeah, exactly. Another kid. That's
Congrats.
nothing. Exactly. But yeah, you guys get the idea. A special occasion where maybe you are buying something precious and you want to go through the whole experience of opening that watch box for the first time and like smelling the new leather and maybe unwrapping the factory plastic wrapping off of the watch. And I feel like there's a certain emotional attachment to that, opening the watch for our very, very first time. And we had a client here who came in recently who bought a watch, and that was like one of the things that he asked for. The watch didn't come with its respective box, but he wanted something that still had the factory's signature. So we were able to source him a travel pouch with the brand's signature, and he was like over the moon about it. And it was a gift for his dad's birthday. And it was a special birthday, and I feel like that kind of it was like the extra mile or the extra detail for like a special occasion. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that, Sam?
Do you want to go first?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll just to like start off.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many caveats in like the box and papers debate. Starting off, I think people who are new to the hobby. They fixate on that more than anyone else, I think, and maybe they do a lot of research on the forums and people generally say, oh yeah, if that they think like the box and paper helps like authenticate it, which it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just they want the hang tags, they want the case back sticker still on. Again, I think it's maybe when I was getting into watches, I was like that too. Like my first new Rolex, I wanted all that. I wanted the bezel protector. I got all of that. Watch had never been touched, etc. Sized the watch, wore it every day for years. Box and papers sat in my closet on the top shelf.
Yeah.
I didn't touch it in 3 years.
Yeah.
Sold that watch.
Yeah.
Never touched the box and papers. Didn't really add the only thing important was really the warranty card when reselling it for me. So many caveats. So for me, if a watch is like within the last 5 years, like made within the last 5 years, I might find it a bit strange if they don't have any of the collateral, like, what's kind of going on here. Like it hasn't been that long. Not going to stop me from buying the watch, but
you have to do your due diligence there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything older than that, it honestly doesn't really mean much to me. I mean, again, if it's a 1930s chronograph Patek, they only made 20 of this reference, then the extract is going to be very helpful. That's something I would want. Case by case basis, really. There's so much you can get into just in this topic alone.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is that there are two broad categories for boxes and papers. There is a box and papers, or a box, let's say in this case, that's used for storage purposes, and there's a box that's used or valued for kit purposes, right? So if you have one watch that you're gifting to your father, let's say, it's going to be his watch, and you want to get him something special, and he's going to store the watch in the box, that's where I think maybe it warrants going for something that's full kit with box and papers. If you're collecting the watch and you're saying, do I need the box? Then that comes down to a question of, well, do you need the kit? Which you're not actually going to be storing the watch inside the box necessarily. The question comes down to, is it more collectible to have the box or not? And I think in most cases, the answer is no, unless you're talking about extremely rare references where, you got something particularly obscure and you found the one or two examples that are left with full kit, and in that case, your watch is trading for significantly more. But barring those extreme cases, for most normal people, I don't think box is going to be such an important factor unless it's a presentation component, or it's about like, I'm actually planning on storing my watch in the day-to-day. I don't know how many people buy a Patek and then sit the Patek box on their nightstand and take the Patek in and out of the box on a daily basis.
That's wild.
That's what I would be worried. That's where I think if that's you, then that's what you're looking for, right?
Right.
That's a different story. So to me, those are the two broad categories. Are you looking for a box because you actually want to store your watch in it? Or are you looking for the box because of some collecting reason?
Right.
In which case, then you just really have to ask yourself, what's the difference practically? And if you buy the watch at the right price for what it is, then what's the problem?
I mean, with that, like using it actually to store the watch on a daily basis, again, after a box is 10 to 15 years old, it begins to disintegrate as we've seen from the inside, and it becomes unusable. It gunks up the whole watch with like the white fiber that's on the inside. So that's a weird use case.
Yeah, especially if you have your Patek box on your nightstand for 15 years. That would be kind of odd.
Well, the question is, are you a watch collector or are you a collateral collector?
I mean, also, what about like original box? Like so many of these full kits are an assemblage of different, they bought the box one place, got the paper somewhere, or they bought the hang tag somewhere else and put it together to make it a full kit, even though this is not really the original one that came with the watch.
Totally.
So like, is there value in having, I mean, it's not like the boxes are serialized. They're just generic boxes. So you can't even know if this was what was sold with the watch. You can get one from the same era.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a good point. And I feel like when you're talking about different eras, you can definitely tell, right? But I didn't even think about that. Whereas you're looking at a box, and it's not like the numbers match the case
Yep.
or whatnot.
And I mean, people charge a good premium for that, much more than those individual components are worth just for saying it has a full kit, you know?
Right. Yeah. Maybe, I mean, to your point, it is either you're a collector or maybe there's a little bit of uncertainty with the longevity of how long you're going to have that watch.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if I have the box and papers, it'll
More
probably
liquidity.
be more. Yeah, exactly. Now to circling back to my initial point about the emotion, right?
Yeah.
Of the experience of opening a brand new watch. You had mentioned that you had your new Rolex. Like, at that point, like, don't tell me you didn't have a smile on your face.
No,
when
yeah,
you
no,
first-
yeah. Like I was saying, when you're buying, like you're getting into this, you're getting your first one,
Right.
especially if it's a brand new watch.
Yeah.
No, definitely, I would want that experience. If I'm buying a new Rolex today,
Definitely.
I want the box.
Yeah.
When I go pick it up at the boutique.
Yeah.
But now that I've had that experience once,
Yeah.
in my consequent watch purchases, you know, it doesn't add very much to me. Like having the box, you know.
How about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Again, I think that it comes down to, are you a collector or is it a one watch situation? If you have one watch and it's your great watch that you have some kind of an emotional connection with because it's the one, or it's a milestone or something like that, then I think I would want to have the box because opening it up becomes part of the milestone. So if it's let's say a wedding watch, then the experience of opening the watch in its box becomes part of your wedding experience in some capacity. Whereas, you know, if you're buying your 50th Patek, which, you know, we should all have such problems, do you really need the 50th box? Because at that point, the bigger problem for me is that you need storage for your watch storage.
Yep.
Like you need some serious real estate to start putting together these massive mahogany or, you know, Macassar ebony boxes that you're hoarding. So that becomes another problem that people don't think about is, do you have the closet real estate for, you know, your watch collecting escapades?
Yeah.
And then, like, again, if you're getting as a gift, 100% I want the box, especially if someone who's not into watches, like if you just hand them the watch in a pouch, it's, you know, it doesn't feel special. It's like you get this on sale or something,
Yeah.
you know, like.
Hand to him in like a Stop and Shop bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, I mean, there's
a
I go
lot of
back and
nuance.
forth. Yeah, again, there's so many variables on why you would value or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. When I think about boxing papers, I also think about the different ways that a brand presents their watch.
Sure.
And case in point, we have a couple of fun different packages here. And Citizen does this cool little scuba tank case.
That's
and
cute.
it's cool. Like, how's this thing go? Oh, there goes the hang tag. But yeah, I feel like it's just an awesome presentation. It
Yeah.
feels very citizen-y, right?
And I would like put that on my desk.
yeah,
like
exactly.
That's like one of the coolest ones.
Yeah.
That is cool.
And their new Citizen Aqualands, they come in a yellow scuba tank. Actually, all their ProMaster dive watches come in a little scuba tank. So I feel like it's a cool little detail that
Yeah.
adds to it. And again, maybe like to your point about the Patek box, like maybe you're not putting a Patek box on your desk, but you're putting this on your desk
Yeah.
because it's cool, right?
Yeah.
And then Doxa, they do this like cool little nifty tubed case, but I don't know. I just feel like it's interesting. It kind of adds some
Yeah.
fun, right? A level of funness to owning a watch. And then you also get more of the standard stuff, right?
Classy
You have
stuff.
the iconic Cartier red leather box and you know, some stuff over there. We've got like an Omega box and our analog shift cork box, which is, it's a box that we give to clients that if they purchase a watch that doesn't have a box, which I feel like that's a cool.
This is the client. I mean, people love this box.
Yeah.
You know, it's inspired by the original Nautilus cork boxes made by Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are super happy when
Yeah.
they get this. They actually like this better than a lot of like new watch boxes.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. The other point I'll say is while I don't consider the boxes so important, I 100% judge brands for their box and papers and the way they present it. So like, in all honesty, when I see the Citizen, to me, this is a great sign because it means that the box and the presentation wasn't an afterthought for Citizen. So to me, when a brand takes accountability over the presentation of the watch, it says to me that they put time and effort into how the watch presents to the customer. So for me, while I might not need the collateral to the same extent, I would 100% look at how is a brand viewing collateral. How do they care about the customer experience when they receive the watch? How important is that? To me, that's a really good, test or a barometer for the way that a brand is going to treat the customer experience as a whole. So I think that's certainly valuable to look at those kinds of things. And when you have brands like Cartier, to me, the box becomes actually, part of the brand ethos in a way.
I think, Cartier does an amazing job. The design is so timeless and it's cohesive across all their product lines, not just watches. I think they do it kind of the best. It's not the most expensively built or uses exotic materials, but just the color scheme and the pattern that they have on the trim, beautiful.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Sam. It's definitely an extension of what the brand is about. You talk about Cartier, it's an elegant box. They make elegant watches. You look at Citizen and Doxa, they're fun dive watches and they have fun packaging. Right. So I feel like it is definitely an extension of the brand, and you kind of like get an idea of like what the brand is about. And I don't think it's any different than when you purchase something like a jacket from a brand, right? And does it come in a box and it's just all like jumbled up in there with like the receipt slapped on top, or does it come neatly wrapped in that tissue paper, right? And there's a sticker that holds it in place and it's neatly folded, and then you get a thank you note. Maybe a couple stickers. I love stickers, but like,
we know you love stickers.
Yeah, I do love stickers. I'm a huge sticker guy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe they throw in like one of their caps, maybe like a watch roll, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that is just it's like the final touch. And I don't know, that's so you had mentioned like you've been collecting for a while, you've been into watches for a while. And for me personally, like, I mean, at the end of the day, do I really care about the box? Not really. Like 99% of the time, no. But I do think that extra detail goes a long way, and I feel like it does matter. Sure, I'm buying the watch because of the watch, but I do like experiencing that sort of thing, whether it is a watch or it's a pair of sunglasses, which, by the way, like I did purchase a pair of sunglasses recently, and one of the things I asked the person at the retail store was, does it come with like the certificate and like the number, because it's those sunglasses were limited, and I don't know, it's just stuff that matters. Not that I want to sell it, but the box is still sitting in that corner of the house where it's collecting dust. But I am wearing sunglasses. But like, I don't know, it's just stuff like that for me, at least, that matters. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, what else? What else is there to say about box and papers?
I mean, we've been talking about boxes a lot, but papers that's a whole nother monster. That is, to me, again, specific to certain brands and even models. Like, speaking of Speedmasters, a lot of people will not buy, say, an Ultraman Speedmaster without the extract, which Omega no longer gives in the US anyway. In the more niche vintage collectible watches, I think an extract does provide like an exponential amount of increased value to the watch.
And a certain level of like
Gravitas.
Gravitas, but also like you feel good, like you feel safe in a way.
Exactly. It's because with these vintage watches, so much of it is buying from a trusted seller. There might not be too much like media about this exact watch. So you're paying a lot. You're going out on a limb in a sense. So yeah, you want to feel reassured, and and something like an extract from Patek or Omega definitely gives you that.
Yeah. I'd say based on what you're saying, similar idea. If I had the choice between buying a watch that comes with its box or a watch that comes with its papers, I will always take the papers.
Yeah.
To me, the papers are way more important than the box. Even for if I had one watch and I had to choose between those two options, the papers at least will sometimes they'll match the watch. You can see that the era makes sense, serial numbers,
exactly.
you know, warranty information. Those kinds of things have potentially a practical, you know, advantage that they're providing. Whereas the box, you know, you get a minute of ecstasy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's short-lived.
Especially with like the Patek extracts, it'll tell you like the dial color, it came in the metal, what if it was recased. Again, this just helps you like verify that everything lines up on this watch.
If you go to a dealer and they show you, you know, a 3940 with a black dial, and you look at your papers and it says it has a silver dial. Find a new dealer.
Exactly.
Analog Shift won't do that, though.
We definitely won't.
We won't do that.
Definitely not. Yeah, and I feel like Patek, using Patek as an example, correct me if I'm wrong, even when you go to the factory and you give them the reference number, they have more information about that watch. Whereas like, this is the person that was working on your watch, and this is the day that they did this and they did that. And again, it's an extension of
like where was sold. You can get the whole history. A lot of times you can find who bought it if you have the original cert. So that adds like a whole nother dimension to the watch. Just
like
kind of
Patek is special though.
It's like Bitcoin.
It's
like there's like a ledger.
Patek is unique though because you can get extract from archives. So you could have a watch that has no collateral whatsoever, and if you have certain, you know, serial numbers, you can gain the full or original history of the watch. This is how it was made. This is what it looked like. Here's when it was sold, where it was sold, etc. That information is not available for every brand. Patek has some of the best record keeping in the industry. And that's also reassuring because if I'm buying a Patek that's, you know, a vintage piece, even if I don't have the other collateral, I might still feel okay buying it because I know I can always verify authenticity with Patek because they have that information available. Whereas some other brands that don't have great documentation, you might just not have the documentation. So that also plays a role for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I still think it's definitely still a polarizing topic, but I feel like I have a good gauge on where we all stand. But yeah, watcher, listener, if you guys let us know, like, does box and papers matter to you? Do they add value? Is there an emotional connection? Is there not? Do you have a bunch of watch boxes that are just taking up space in your closet? Let us know in the comments. And I feel like that's where we'll wrap up this conversation. Sam, Josh, thanks for joining me. And to you guys, as always, you can find us on Instagram at Analog Shift. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions about any of the hundreds of timepieces that we have on our website, drop us a line at info@analogshift.com. My name is Thomas Calara. We'll see you guys next time.